Hymian members. It's your Masters of Wine, Louise Wilson and
Igor Ryjenkov.
Here for Cellar 309 in sunny Montreal. So this is one of 3 cellars that we visit Italy. There's such a diversity of grapes and regions in Italy. We actually take 3 cellars to cover them. So we're all over Italy in this cellar. What did we taste so far?
We tasted Franciacorta. We actually went like almost north to south. So for Franciacorta, Piedmont, Abruzzo.
Calabria, we're tasting, later today. And then the 2 islands, we have wines from both Sicily and Sardinia that we're tasting.
Correct.
So really exciting, such a range of grape varieties. In Piedmont alone, for white wines, we tasted Cortese and we tasted Arnese. And we actually had an opportunity to taste some wines with maturity as well. So our opinion producers opened up their libraries for us and sent us some wonderful wines, both red and white, that we tasted in different vintages. And what stuck out for me is the wines weren't maturing at the same rate. So it wasn't necessarily the oldest wines that had the most maturity. It was really vintage dependent. So it was really neat exercise to taste them side by side.
Yeah, it was very interesting to experience that. And was also interesting to taste the wines that normally we don't get a chance to taste too often, like Franciacorta, for example. But they've been making sparkling wine and traditional method sparkling wine for quite a number of years. It was made at DOC in 1967, but only gained acclaim probably in the last 15-20 years as a supplier of high quality traditional method sparkling wine from Italy. And it was interesting to taste a range of wines from there.
Yeah, it was. So that's Lombardy. So we're in the north. We did Piedmont, Lombardy, and then we actually have a wine from the Veneto as well. We even get to taste a Prosecco today, I believe. Then going down the east coast of Italy, we touched on Abruzzo. So lots of Montepulciano di Abruzzo, which always is great value, very generous wines with lots of fruit flavor and great value. And then of course, I think we talked about Calabria and then the 2 island wines. So with Sicily, we tasted some wines from Etna, the wonderful mineral driven wines from that region, and also Sardinia. So Cannonau, which is AKA Grenache, and Vermentino from Sardinia. And those are lovely and fruity and accessible wines as well.
Right, and some wines from Calabria are still to come. We're tasting them today. We're looking forward to tasting them. Calabria usually flies under the radar somewhat because it's not really the same profile, the same stature as the Tuscany, for example, Veneto, or even Sicily or Sardinia. But as many regions in Italy, it has a number of its own native grapes. Galliopo and Malioco come to mind. So they're kind of like almost like rhyming grapes, and the wines are quite singular, and maybe rustic charm is the way to describe them, but they're very individualistic and have a lot of character to offer.
Yeah, you're making me think Italy has so many indigenous grape varieties that you really just don't see grown in other places.
Right.
And even in Piedmont, varieties that we're familiar with, like Nebbiolo, you really don't see that grown outside of Piedmont very often. So we had a whole line. I think there was actually more than 30 different expressions of Nebbiolo that we tried. So that was really interesting. And not to forget, we also got to taste grappa. And
right.
Today we're tasting fortified wine as well, vermouth. So not just table wine, but all sorts of different expressions to enjoy. I guess we better get to work, Igor. We have some wines to taste today.
Sounds good. So hopefully that piqued your interest, and hopefully there's going to be a lot of interesting wines for you to look at, select, and enjoy.